you guys have probably heard some of the Redskins stuff, but let's not even go there yet. Let's talk about high school football, because with high school football, we have things like the Lancaster Redskins right here locally. And we have all kinds of teams named Indians. So what happens when these teams that use our image or our likeness or appropriate something from us, not because they honor us, they claim they honor us, but because they want to glean something from who they think we are and call it their own. So they want that noble fierceness and savagery and athleticism, essentially, to be associated with them as they're on the football field or baseball diamond or whatever. So you have teams playing against the such and such Indians. So what do? What happens? What did sports writers do for 6 decades when this became really popular? Is it 6 decades? Yeah, it's probably maybe a little longer than that. Every time you had the Indians playing a team, if they got beat, it was the Indians were slaughtered by the Red Sox, or the Cowboys scalped the Redskins this weekend. That's what sportscasters were doing. So that was common practice. So now when you have high school, you know how to make those big paper signs, and they call them buster signs, and the football team all prays, they run through and they break the line. So 2 high schools this week decided that using the Trail of Tears as a reference, they said was appropriate when they were playing against the Indians. So one of them was like, get ready to march on the Trail of Tears again. He's got the pictures of him. I know he's fighting with it, but two separate schools. And I think one was down south, and I don't know where. One was in Alabama, and one was in another place. But you'll see that I got to post it on my Facebook page. But 2 separate schools decided that citing. Now, the idea of citing the Trail of Tears because it's funny is kind of like citing the train to Auschwitz, or maybe we can make rape jokes, but how you could cite the Trail of Tears. And now, of course, the superintendents or principals have both apologized since then. They said they're going to have better sensitivity training. But let's face it, the kids didn't come up with this on their own. And even if they did, there were adults approving it. And I'll tell you, it's not just this notion. This is the one here. This was Dyersburg Trojans. This is in Mother Jones. You can find this. There's the link up there. Again, go to my Facebook group page and you can find all this stuff. This is the other one. Hey Indians, get ready to leave in the Trail of Tears, round 2. So that's what was deemed appropriate for this team that was playing against another team that was called the Indians. And of course, this is what the opponents do when you have a team that is associated with living human beings. Now, but it doesn't stop here. Go ahead and put the picture. This is what a Philadelphia Eagles fan thinks is appropriate. This is a guy who goes into a football arena, goes into a stadium with a duffel bag, and what he's got is an Indian head, and he impales it with a knife, and across his face it says "Redskin, Deadskin."
What?
And so he gets to go into a football arena with an impaled Indian head at a football game. Now, well, that's got to be kind of an isolated thing. No, not quite, because if you look this guy up, he also is a Flyers fan too. And who did the Flyers play in the hockey playoffs last year? The Blackhawks. So he goes to a Blackhawks game with the same Indian head, only this time he's got orange paint on his face. And not only does he go, again, he's allowed in the arena, in the hockey arena, with the impaled head. This time it says "Dead Blackhawks" or something on the face. But not only is he allowed to go in there with this stuff, but during the Blackhawks game, Versus Network that was broadcasting the game thought it would be really neat to use this guy as the backdrop for when they went to commercial to go to score. So there on network television, or on sports television, is this guy with an impaled Indian head, and it says "Flyers 4, Blackhawks 2. We'll be right back," kind of thing. And they did it multiple times. It wasn't just one time. There's several different images of the same guy with the impaled Indian head. Now, it's fine. I'm not, the mascot issue isn't the issue. The issue is that somehow that's appropriate. Because I would dare say that Philadelphia Eagles guy could not go into a Redskins-Eagles game with a black head that says RG3 across his forehead in a noose. I'm pretty sure that he would not be able to do that. I'm pretty sure they can't say have a bust-through paper that says something about gassing Jews. I'm pretty sure that would not be tolerated. But this is tolerated. This is the world that we still live in. And see, and unlike these morons, and I gotta call them morons, who say, yeah, but how is this different than the Vikings? Well, because we're still here. We still live here, and we still live. There's a guy, anybody know who L. Frank Baum is?
Oh, yeah.
He wrote The Wizard of Oz. Now, some people think The Wizard of Oz was a children's story. There's an entire course study at many universities that delve into the analysis of what L. Frank Baum's Wizard of Oz series was all about. But L. Frank Baum, before he wrote The Wizard of Oz, was an editor of The Pioneer, which was a newspaper in Aberdeen, South Dakota. He wrote what is called the Baum Genocide editorials, and I encourage you to look it up online. You can read them. They're not very long. And they were written, one was written right after Sitting Bull was murdered. And the basic gist of both of his editorials was, we just need to kill these Indians. We just gotta exterminate them. He said, look, Sitting Bull's dead. He was the last good one. You know, there's no more good ones left. He was the last noble one of them all. Now the rest of them are just a pack of mangy cur that lick the hand that smites us. Look, it's better that we just kill them. That way they can live in our history. The princes, the kings of the forest and the plain that James Fenimore Cooper wrote of. Let's honor them by killing them. That's what L. Frank Baum wrote. And again, I'm paraphrasing, but by all means, pull it up, look it up. He wrote two of them one right after Sitting Bull was killed and murdered, and he calls it that in his editorial. And he said, the only thing that makes sense for us to do is, we've wronged these people so much. We've wronged these people so bad, and we've turned them into this miserable, despicable beings. We should just exterminate them. He used the word exterminate. Exterminate them. And then, so what happens, he wrote this thing, and this was like on mid-December or early December. A week later was the massacre at Wounded Knee. And then he wrote of the massacre at Wounded Knee. And he said, well, that was pretty sad. You know, and he calls down the general who was responsible for it. Even though that's what he called for. He's, wow, that's it. Now we really better just kill the rest of them. We should just exterminate them all. It's the only thing that we can do that's in the interest of our own security. And frankly, you know, because in the end, it's like a backhanded compliment. There's this mentality that he has that, man, what these Indians represented was so noble, but man, not anymore. And that's what's on the side of that Redskins helmet. What's on the side of that Redskins helmet, and the word Redskin, we're not Redskins, but it's what the American culture has gleaned from us, what they've misappropriated from us, this image. You know, the red face, the guys who put red face on at Cleveland Indians games. You know, the guy who spends $3,000 for an authentic regalia and then runs around the University of Illinois football field doing cartwheels in an authentic regalia. An absolute mockery of, you know, of what it all represents. Eagle feathers and all, you know. It's a misappropriation of an image that somebody wants to claim as their own. It's like we're going to take it. It's not American history, but we're going to make it American history. We want to be able to, and at the same time that some of these, you know, including some of the high schools, you got to remember, all of a sudden, you ever wonder why somebody thought it was great to put an Indian head on a penny or on a nickel? Well, it's because there was this love-hate relationship that the United States has always had with this notion. You know what happened to Geronimo after they captured him? They paraded him around like a monkey. Teddy Roosevelt paraded him, he put him on horseback so he could march through Washington for his inauguration.
It was here.
Was it here?
Pan Am.
Oh, right. But in D.C. as well.
Yeah.
So they paraded Geronimo around like a monkey. They reduced him to this. That's what that Redskins helmet does. That's what the Cleveland Indians did. That's what the Blackhawks jersey does. It reduces us to something that is not human. It is a cartoon. It is an image. And the thing is that this stuff exists because it's okay. That's the problem. The problem isn't the Washington Redskins. The problem wouldn't be if that was on a helmet. That's not the problem. The problem is 80% of the American population says, no, I don't want to change the Redskins name. It was polled. I mean, and a pretty broad-based poll. When those same people are asked, and this actually right in D.C. they did a poll, and they asked the people who lived in the Washington D.C. area, and they said, do you think the name should change? And it was almost 90% said no. When they asked those same people, would you call a Native person Redskin? They said, oh no. By a large majority, it wasn't 90%, but by a large majority, the same people who said no, we shouldn't change the name, a majority of those same people said, nah, I wouldn't call them that though. So, in other words, it would be in Washington D.C. It would be appropriate to walk up to a black man who's 6'4", weighs 350 pounds, and muscles that could crush walnuts and all that other stuff, to ask him if he's a Redskin, because you'd be meeting a football player. To ask him that, I'm not saying he would be, but it would be appropriate to ask that question. But it would be inappropriate to ask me, or my good friend Greg Deal, who is usually making a big issue of this all in D.C. So don't ask a Native person if he's a Redskin, because that'd be inappropriate. But you can ask somebody who looks like a football player is a Redskin. I mean, there's
really insulting some Native community.
Well, and
D.C.
What's that?
Unless you're really insulting someone.
Oh yeah, no, and
Native community that works in D.C.
And yet there are still people within Indian country, and don't get me wrong, you can go into every native territory and you can find somebody with a Redskins jacket, or an Indian's hat, or a Blackhawks jersey. And I'll tell you why. And this is just a matter of fact. We are so marginalized in the American culture that there are people in our community that have so very little to identify within the dominant culture around us that yes, they do identify with that. And a lot of kids, Native kids, they'll root for the Redskins. Then as they get older, they realize, man, that's pretty appropriate. But what do we have to draw to in the dominant culture around us? I mean, I knew people who would would love the opportunity to rip off one of those Niagara Mohawk patches off of people's shirts. And, oh yeah, that's a nice patch. Well, wait a minute. Do you realize what that really represents? I mean, yeah, it's a native image. Just like Indian head buffalo, buffalo head, or Indian head nickels and pennies and all that stuff. I mean, the Sacagawea dollar. I mean, even the Hiawatha belt, which is done wrong on this. Did you see that when they had the dollars that they do the dollar coins? Yeah. They've been doing some with native images on them. Sacagawea was on the front and on the back side. They had three sisters one time, but they even had again, and it puts the Hiawatha belt. It doesn't say Hiawatha belt on it. It says the Great Law. Which one's that one?
John Tyler.
Oh yeah.